Hey, junior Egyptologists! Welcome to yet another awesome weekly edition of Doodling with Purpose, the internet's only free weekly lessons in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, right here on Spectre Creative. Couldn't be here without you. Class doesn't exist without students. All right, we're going to continue our deep dive into Egyptian verbs, and as we've been talking about, there are four types of verbs: strong, doubling, weak, and extra weak verbs. And each of these verbs have different things that happen to them in different tenses. So we talked about last week the present tense, meaning someone is doing something, or rather, I'm sorry, loving, love versus loves, and how in order to do that, you're just going to simply add the subject and the pronoun to it. Well, today we're going to talk about specific present. So this is the difference between saying hears and is hearing. That's the difference. That's present versus specific present. So is hearing, is seeing, is loving, and is giving is the tense for those verbs, or at least in English. So let's talk about how they work in Egyptian hieroglyphs. So the specific present. We're going to start with our strong verb, sejim, which is to hear, which is the cow ear plus the owl, sejim. The D with the dash, remember, is a J sound. So to change to hear to is hearing, to go from present to specific present, what we're going to add, we're going to go plus HR, the face, and a stroke line. So this is essentially is. When you have here, HR, and the H, that's the hiss versus H with the dot, with a stroke line under it, it's like is, the way the water sign is ED. So let's look at the same thing with strong verbs. So here we have ma'a, to see, m, to a's, and then the determinative for the I is put at the beginning for honor, for making it look better. So adding again her with the dash becomes to see, is now is seeing instead of sees, is seeing. Simply add HR. And you'll also notice that in the specific present, the strong verb stays, or the, if you will, the doubling verb, stays doubled. I think I wrote strong verb there. Should have written double verb. You knew what I was talking about. All right, weak verbs. So these are the ones that end in usually an I. These are going to follow the exact same format as the infinitive. So you remember the clue for an infinitive form is the addition of a T, the loaf, to both weak and extra weak. So same exact thing where you can note what tense you are in, noting the extra T, but the difference between the infinitive and the specific present is in addition to the T, you also have the is before it, the HR plus the stroke line, HR and it looks like an I, it's a stroke line. So this makes love to is loving. So you can tell it's not in the infinitive because you have the extra HR in front. So again, extra weak verbs, radi, to give. We're going to go with the infinitive form, which adds an extra T to the end of it. But we're also going to add that HR with the stroke line before it. So that's two things you do to weak and extra weak verbs. All specific present verbs get the HR with the stroke line. The extra weak and the weak also get the T. So essentially, the specific present is the infinitive form preceded by is, or HR with the stroke line under it, the face, HR. So if you know the infinitive form, you're simply adding HR before it, noting that for weak and extra weak, you're going to get that extra T added to the end. When you see that T with just the verb, you know you're in the infinitive. When you see an extra T added to weak and extra weak verbs, but you have the HR in front, you know you're in the specific present. And those are your clues. Hieroglyphics is just full of awesome clues. It's one of the things I love about the language so much. It's kind of like detective work. You don't just read it, but you actually have to uncover things. And the key for specific present, so here's your homework for this week to write this all down. It's the infinitive form preceded by HR and a stroke line. This way, in context, you'll be able to spot the different tense you're in based on weak and extra weak verbs getting that T, just like in the infinitive, and all the verbs getting the HR in front of it. That's how you know you're in the specific present. And if you're just dealing with strong verbs or doubling verbs, again, you don't need to worry about that T. So now we've gone through infinitives, past tense, present tense, now specific present. So the clue, infinitive form, preceded by HR. Slightly different from the infinitive, where it just gets the T on week and extra week, but they're related. All right, next week we're going to do future tense. So be right back here in the future for the future. Next week only on the internet's only free hieroglyphic week-to-week class, Doodling with Purpose. Thanks for being part of the class. I'll see you guys next week right back here on Spectra Creative. Thanks for watching.